Hey, this is Dr. Reyes with Physicians of Medicine. Let's talk about mindset. When we go up with this challenged, unhealthy weight, we're going to be faced with failure. When my daughter was in volleyball and we were researching some basics of volleyball, I came across this channel, Coach Donnie, and there was a shirt on one of the players that said fail to succeed. I really liked what that meant. And so hopefully this mindset will help you understand why that was so meaningful, failed to succeed. So I want to change this, not from a mindset of how to handle failure. I like to try to keep things positive. So I want to change it to how can we win these weight challenges? We don't have problems, we have challenges in life. We just look for solutions, the ways that we can win.
When we try our solutions to win and we don't win, some people may call that a failure, but I call it an iteration. It goes back to what Coach Donnie was saying in his YouTube channel or on that t-shirt, that you have to fail to succeed. So in other words, a failure is an iteration in my book, and each time you iterate, you have the vision of getting better, which is why we need to start with vision. So you iterate to succeed, you iterate towards that vision.
I want to get started with why we need a vision. Iteration, repeating the same thing over and over again, can be so frustrating if you don't have a North Star, if you don't have a vision. Just like this Greek mythology, Sisyphus, he was cursed with pushing a boulder up the mountain, up an incline that always would come back. And there was no purpose to it other than a punishment. So if you're iterating and you're trying something and you don't see what is the purposes, why am I doing it? Then you start wasting time, you start wasting emotion. Just think about the anxiety level, depression. When things get really tough, you're going to forget why you're doing it unless you have that vision. You ended up with a wasted energy and opportunity cost. So that 6 months that you were trying something new without vision, you got frustrated. It was maybe the 7th month that when you were going to finally get the results. A good book to listen to about this iteration model would be like Clear's book about atomic habits. I like to borrow one of his examples in the book that when you're heating up an ice cube, until it hits the critical temperature, you see no progress. The ice cube is intact, but once it's around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, then it starts, all of a sudden, it melts. All that work up to it was the energy. But if you don't have that vision, you don't understand that temperature, then you're going to become very frustrated. So we start with the why. I like to point this out as I've gone through life and also learned more about business. When I was in the Army, we talked a lot about this. Strategy, operational, tactical didn't really make any sense until you really apply it to yourself, you apply it to business. When we're doing this weight control program, that is the why. You want to be healthy. Why do you want to drop that weight? Because I want to reduce my risk for diabetes, or I want to put my diabetes in remission. So that's your why. I want to feel good. Then you go do research, the operational. You take it from an idea, you make a plan. And so that's the how. Then you get down to the tactical level, the individual interventions that you're going to do. And that's the who, what, when, and where. I like to use the example with the Iraqi war when we first went and invaded Iraq. The strategy of why were we going over there? We were told that there were weapons of mass destruction, and that's what kind of justified us going in. Operationals, like the generals and admirals, they would plan how we're going to do that. We're going to put people in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, maybe in Turkey. The tactical part now goes down to the ground level, where our troops are moving tanks left on this street, put the sniper group up here. This is when we launch. Who, what, when, and where goes down. For us, that's your calendar. I also want to guard against unrealistic outcomes. I use AI to generate these, right? So I always tell people in my practice, look, if your goal is to go get ripped abs, I'm not the practice for you. That is not obesity medicine or weight control medicine. We are going for healthcare outcomes. We want to put hypertension in remission. We want to shrink your belly, but we're not here to get ripped abs. There's a different vision for the weight loss phase, which is the first 6 months, and then there's the maintenance phase. So the vision for the first 6 months in my practice should be that you feel good. You feel so good that you're inspired to actually go work out, that during your workouts, you give a perceived 50% effort and you're able to maintain that. I feel pretty good. I could do this. During the exercise, your energy is good and maybe turns into great if you're eating right. If you guys have been exhausted after a workout, sleeping in your car, then you're not eating right. That is not what we want. I want an overall positive experience with my patients as they lose the weight. I don't want it to be negative. I don't want them to feel like a prisoner of war. I don't want them to feel malnourished. I don't want them to have headaches. Some of those stories that I see in the Facebook group for the support group from Manjaro and semaglutide. It's just horrible. Oh, I feel like I got flu-like symptoms. My hair is falling out. Yeah, you're doing it the wrong way. That's the starvation route. So I expect my patient to lose about 5 to 10 pounds per month in that first 6 months. Now, the vision in maintenance is very different. So once we hit around that 6-month point, I usually tell my patients, hey, yeah, I need you to take a look at what's your goal now at this point. The belly's the right size now. And so it's really, what is your body comp is what this is asking about. Do you just want to look like these two over here where they generally are healthy? You can tell that they work out, right? Because that's a different workout plan during maintenance. Do you want to bulk up a little bit, get some carry under with thighs, right? Or this guy over here, you're like, yeah, he's a CrossFit guy. For the guys, you're like, you want to give that impression that you lift weights. Or you're like, you're getting into a phase in your life where you're addicted to running. That's a different program in maintenance than it is from the other three. So that vision is important. That's the why we drive. So that takes care of the strategy. So let's move on to the operational and how. That's fairly easy. So it's really easy, guys. You can apply this to your finance. Those of you who own businesses, it's exactly the same business plan that we do, right? It's the how. So let's go do some research, right? So for weight control, the research could just be YouTube. Try ChatGPT. Actually, if I haven't published a video, I did a video on that, on what obesity medicine physician thinks of ChatGPT when you put in certain prompts, right? So you get some background research. Maybe you're doing it on your own, but at some point you're frustrated because you lost the weight, you gained it, you lost it, you felt like crap, regained it, right? And that's the usual that most people. And then at some point, you're going to have to talk to an expert. So you want to find an obesity medicine trained physician or clinician in your area. With any of these service-based professionals, it's really going to be reputation. It's going to be doing some reviews, doing some deep dives into that and say, okay, who's really got it? Of course, here's a plug for me in physician medicine. And so if you're in Texas, yeah, give us a call and we can be your experts. Then it gets down to this, the who, what, when, and where. If you say things like, hey, I'm going to take care of that later, then probably that's not a priority. Because if it's a priority, it's going to get scheduled and it increases the probability. This doesn't guarantee because things come up, right? Even if you put it on the calendar, many of us miss birthdays, anniversaries, right? It's on the calendar, but we forgot, right? So things happen. We're human. That's okay. But if you want to increase your probability of success, once you get the strategy, your strategy is a North Star, you do the research, you get the how, you might develop the plan, and now you implement the plan by putting it on the calendar. So you can envision yourself doing squat in the gym at 6 a.m. at this one location, with or without a group. Or you're going to do things like Camp Gladiator. This is not an endorsement. I'm just using that as an example. Orange Theory on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 p.m. Okay, that increases your likelihood of getting success. Your rate of success goes up when you can visualize it and you put it on the calendar. So I'm a big Google Calendar fan right now because of Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. So scheduling it in there increases your likelihood of success. You can put reminders. Those of you who have personal assistants, that's who should probably be doing it. Sometimes I got to talk to the spouse and say, this is what needs to get done. So when you can visualize who, what, when, and where, because you've already developed the how at this point, that will probably give you a high probability of success. Iterate to succeed the first time or the multiple times you're going to run into challenges. Then you're always going to be like, I know where I'm going. I am going to that cliff. There's going to be setbacks. You see the vision, and that will overcome depression and anxiety, the frustration. Getting feedback during that process is part of it. That's why in my practice, I like to show people their weight chart to remind them when they're frustrated that they haven't lost weight in 3 months. And I can show them, hey, you've lost 60 something pounds. The worst case scenario is you're maintaining. That also is great feedback to remember where you started and how much progress you made. And that's the psychology that is behind a great mindset for success, especially with weight control. How am I going to do it? And then can I visualize the rest of it? And can I put it on my calendar? Because if you put it on your calendar and you develop that habit of honoring your calendar, then you have a higher likelihood of not just losing this weight, but keeping it off and becoming mentally stronger to the point that you don't even feel problems anymore in your life. You feel like, hey, that's an awesome challenge. Does it fit in my current strategy? If it does, let me problem solve it, come up with a plan, and then execute said plan, then iterate, reevaluate, and there's success. I hope this helps. If you're about to come see me or you're thinking about seeing me, that's the mindset that I ask that you consider. This is Tubby Doc, and I will see you at the next video.